a lifestyle business versus an empire. A lifestyle business, basically a service business, which is what a lot of I talk about in a lot of videos, which is going to have 1 to maybe like 3 or 4 people, also known as a speedboat. Whereas an empire is more of building one of those cruise ships, and both have their benefits and both have their downsides. And I just want to break down that math for you guys, whether you're trying to build an empire or trying to build a lifestyle business. Super important. For me, it's all about lifestyle business. Do not want that 100 employee Grant Cardone deal, managing all those, balls that you're trying to juggle. I managed people before. Don't like it. Employees are barely better than colleagues. Want a minimum of people working for me, so I use a lot of business systems, and between that and one guy that's in my business who I really trust and super competent, and I don't have to manage him, he just runs on the system that we outlined, is so much more preferable to me. Whether I bring a few people on in the future, it'd probably be sales guys, but I would imagine maybe 3, at most 5 people within the next 10 years. And some of those people would be just doing like monitoring Facebook group and, editing captions on videos and what have you. So it would be like, probably within my current, Aaron, who I'm using currently, it would be people under him, perhaps in the Philippines, kind of doing that grunt social media stuff, so to speak, but not a whole lot of people. And it doesn't have to be a whole lot of people. If you look at Kevin Nations and Frank Kern, it's like, those guys have a couple employees. Dan Kennedy was the same, taking home 1, 2, 5, 6 mil, selling high ticket. That's where I'm going, baby. Already selling high ticket, but those prices are going to increase in the future. So if you want it now, revolutionarylifestyledesign.com/coaching, while I'm still doing one-on-one, while the price is still what it is. Because the future is going to be group coaching, and it's going to be more expensive. And the money math is like this. For most guys building an empire, okay, you're looking at taking home 10% of your revenue, especially if you're doing it in a Western country where you have to pay taxes. Maybe you have an office. You've got to pay for payroll. You've got to pay for health insurance. You've got to pay for Social Security. You've got to pay for all that bullshit. And then you've got to pay to train people, because you're going to have to fire a lot of employees, and a lot of employees are going to quit on you. So you're looking at a lot of expenses there. I had a client of mine who was an insurance broker. I think he was doing 350 grand in revenue. I think he had 3 staff. He was taking home like 80 grand, something that he could have been taking home just selling insurance for a large corporation, working 9 to 5 with none of the additional stress that falls on your head as a business owner. It is not worth starting a business to end up at 80 grand in a Western country take home, because you're gonna have to pay taxes on that. That's 35% of your money gone. Okay. I had another client who I took him from, he was running a delivery business, doing all the driving himself, making 5 figures, right? So we were doing 5 grand a month, okay? And he was taking home almost all that in profit. We scaled him up to, he was doing 8 grand a month in revenue and taking home 5 or 6 grand. We scaled him up to 100 grand a month. More than that, actually it was 150 for a while. So we helped him build a 7-figure business within a year. I take some responsibility, but that boy was a beast. Shout out to Will. At one point we were taking home 12 to 14 of that, but after the virus, revenues went back down, and we were looking at about 100 grand per month, and we were taking home about 10 of that. Now, we had about 15 people on staff there, and the business was relatively automated, so it wasn't that he needed to put in a bunch of work, but money was constantly coming out of his savings to pay suppliers, and you know, when revenues took a dip, he had to go back to driving, so he was back in the business. We didn't, you know, we had him out of the business, but then he had to go back in because he wasn't willing to take that revenue or that take-home dip. And so over the course of the year, you know, we got him to save a decent amount of money, but it wasn't what I was hoping for. Now there were some other factors involved, but I mean, he was basically taking out 10% of that business. Okay, so that's for you guys who dream, like, you know, I see all these ads and whatever, like, you build a 7-figure business. Yeah, that's great, but I mean, most guys with 7-figure businesses are taking home 10% of that and paying taxes on that shit. Okay, so if you want to make 300 grand a year and you're trying to build the typical empire in a Western country with an office and employees, okay, you want to make 300 grand a year, which is what you really need to be comfortable in North America, because the government's going to take half that shit, at least where I'm from, Toronto, same thing, New York, same thing, a lot of places in North America, they're going to take like 40% of that, right? So you want to make 300 grand a year, you need to build a business that does 3 million, okay, to be able to take home that kind of salary. Now, it's a little bit different if you're in a tech startup, which I had some experience with, and I had a couple clients of mine who built 8-figure tech startups and had some exits. Even if your tech startup is not making money, if it's making revenue but it's not generating a profit, you're still going to be probably guaranteed that 250 grand salary. If you had like a, you know, VCs and wealthy investors and stuff like that, they make sure that the founder has a good salary to keep them happy, with the hopes that, you know, it's going to pay off. They're not too worried about that 200K because, you know, they're trying to see it become a $50 million, $100 million a year business. That's what they're interested in. So in those cases, like, you cannot be making a profit and still take home a salary. But for most of you guys, and I don't think a tech business is the right way to go unless you're really exceptional. You know, you're a high-level programmer and a bunch of different other things, which you can see in my video, how to tell if you're exceptional or not. But that being the case, you know, you don't want, you're not going to be able to take home that 250 on your own, you know, building and doing everything from scratch unless you earn it. And for most empires, you're looking at taking home 10%. There's a few exceptions. One was a client of mine who built, well, when we started working together, I think he had 4 employees. He must have 20 people on staff, but he runs it remotely. He's done all the same things that I've done to, you know, expatriate from his home country and minimize and optimize taxes, and hires from Eastern European countries, so he's able to pay them much less, uses them as contractors, so there's not, you know, not having to pay health insurance and all that other bullshit. Doing it all legally, 100% legally. He's just doing it intelligently. And he's got a very high margin, high ticket service business. You know, where he was when, you know, we were working together, taking home at least 80 to 90% of that. So he's built kind of a hybrid lifestyle business empire. And he's done a very good job at keeping those margins high, which you can do in an online service business. But for most guys, you've got to be very careful with the idea of, you know, building an empire. Because 7 figures doesn't mean anything. Like, the branch that I work for in ad sales did 5 million a year. The branch, I mean, the company did 40 million, and you never heard of this company. That's still considered a medium-sized business. But none of that fucking matters. All that matters is how much is the owner taking home every year.